Hello, my name is Jo Ann Kobuke, and I am the founder of MIDLIFE REWRITTEN, a midlife coach. So today I'm fortunate enough to have Paula Alphonse here with me. Paula is a transformational speaker, personal leadership educator, and a published author who's traveled the world inspiring, mentoring, and transforming men and women of all ages to reach out and capture their personal leadership. She calls herself a relationship restorer and a status quo disruptor. Paula wants everyone to harness the power within that is waiting to be ignited, along with their right to a blissful life. It's her not-so-secret mission to help individuals move from obscurity to self-realization so they can live their best life to the fullest right now. Welcome, Paula.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. It's been so nice to have a chance to talk to you again. We met at the Women's Economic Forum in New Delhi, which was such an experience for me. I'd never gone before. And it was really amazing to meet so many interesting, vibrant women like yourself who are working to, up-level themselves and everything else. So as you know, my focus is women in midlife. And so you have some very interesting stories to tell about your transition into midlife. And I'd really appreciate it if you'd share with us.
Okay. I would say for me, midlife kind of took me by surprise in a sense that I was busy being a mom, being a wife, taking care of kids, having a career, doing everything. And all of a sudden, at one point, it felt like, is this all there is to life? And it wasn't that I was unhappy, but it wasn't what in my mind when I was a child, a young adult, what I expected it to be. So I got to a point and it's just like, I don't know.
There's got to be more.
There's got to be more. I can't keep doing this forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my awakening, and it played in my mind for quite a few years. I would pick up new hobbies. I would go back to school. I tried different things just to say, maybe my life is not full enough. So I'll fill it up with other things. Right. And I was blessed enough to realize early that for me, it wasn't about materials. So it wasn't about, let me go to this destination or get one more tool or artifacts. And no, it wasn't that. So I knew it had to be about interaction with others. But then I had to figure out what that meant.
Right. What did that look like? Yeah.
Yeah, because I still met people every day. I still had friends. Right. But it felt like, okay. Something's off, but
yeah, it's interesting because we move forward on autopilot so much during that busy time in our life. We're raising our family, we're establishing ourselves in our careers, and you just kind of like go, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, well, that was nice, but there's got to be more than this in here.
And definitely. And it's when, at least for me, it's when you start asking yourself questions that it actually means it's time for something new to emerge, to come about. So I didn't always notice, because I know in the beginning when it would happen, I would just change furniture in my house, redecorate, do gardening, you would do all kinds of things, but it feels the time, but it doesn't feel the soul. Heart. Yeah, so that it was a while. And I don't know, at one point it was just, okay, got to figure out something. And I think somewhere around my 40s, I think it was in my 40s, a little before my 40s, I noticed a change in me in the sense that for some reason, I was no longer so intent on doing what other people wanted of me. It was just like, but why? So all of a sudden I felt like going back to being a teenager. But why, Mom?
Yeah, that's right.
And then, but you're the adult, and you have maybe at this point in my 40s, I think my children were getting in their at least my eldest was coming into her teen years.
Yes.
So she would do things, and I felt kind of the same, but with the other adults, it's like, yeah, what? Oh, like it.
Okay.
So, and that started me on that journey to figure out, is this what I want?
Mm-hmm.
Is this who I am? Is this what I expected out of life? And what do I want? Because in some ways you were so busy taking care of all kinds of things, all kinds of people, all kinds of requests. I was a mom, I was a wife, I was a manager, I was a sister, I was a friend. You're everything to everyone, but then you're not there for yourself.
Yeah.
And then there was the point where it's like, yeah, got to figure it out, because the discomfort would not just go away. You would have happy moments, and then it's just like, and then the started taking way more time.
Yeah.
So you're like, there's got to be. And I remember back then having conversation with my husband, and he would say, "Oh, you're looking for too much." It's like, that's. And I'm like, no. It's like I don't think we were meant to just run around in circles.
Yeah, and do it all over again the next day.
And it's like, you leave happy for the weekend, and then by Monday I gotta go back to
Yeah.
So I had to figure out something. So I had to take myself, and going back to school helped in the sense that I started looking at different ways of redefining myself. I started paying attention to what mattered to me. And as you're doing that introspection, at least as I was doing that introspection, I started noticing some things that kept coming back. And in my journey, you might not know is I'm a pharmacist by trade, but currently I'm a leadership and change management educator. So I made quite a few shifts because of the discomfort, but I had to try a few things to see whether that would be it. And then figure out what would fill my voice. So I started teaching first in terms of being a pharmacist. I was teaching pharmacology to young adults. And I'm like, yeah, that's not my crap. That's not my
That sounds good, but no, not for me.
Yeah. And the people for whom I was working at the time, they really liked it and they wanted me to come back. And I felt that it was going to be another one of those repeat. So I didn't feel that pull to do more of that. And then the more I explore the side of personal leadership, the more that I got to know me through various instruments, because I tried almost everything that could be available. I did MBTI, Insight, DISC. Whatever tools there was that would allow you to better understand who you are, what are your triggers, why does this feel okay, why does this doesn't. Read quite a bit of books. And then one point I realized, I get it. I'm here to help people, because when you start connecting the dots from the moment I was a teenager, or maybe even before, if I could recall, and throughout my journey, people would always come to me. And I always had the question, are you a coach? Are you a coach? And I just talk, I help people. I help you figure out things. I ask questions. So I might have had a gift for questions, but I didn't know that was coaching. And then as you keep doing different things, you start connecting the dots. So I realized the part that really made me feel better was helping others, and helping others not only find what they care about, but what they wanted out of life. So it wasn't just, oh, let's organize a trip. Oh, that was a great trip. No, it was more, okay, what really pulls at you? What makes you want to do better? Why do you want to do better? So I started thinking about legacy. What do I want to leave for my children? Mm-hmm. And as I'm thinking about that, yes, I want to raise them to be contributing members to the society, but I ask myself, am I a contributing member to the society besides taking care of my kids and maybe doing my job?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, there's something else. There was another voice. There was something that would pull at me. And it was about, I think I'm there to help others. Mm-hmm. And then as I started, it took me a while as I started working more into leadership development, change management, the voice got clearer. That sense of that's what I'm expected to do.
Right.
I remember being in a classroom taking a course at one point in my journey, and right there sitting, looking at the people that were facilitating the class. Mm-hmm. I knew just that minute, I just knew this is what I'm meant to do. Mm-hmm. And in my family, we were both either, the family was almost half separated, education or science. Oh. Because I was good in science, guess what they made me do? Go in science. Yes, that's the way of the future. Always a good salary. So okay, did that. And then, not to say there's anything wrong with being a pharmacist or science, it's not that. But I realized later in my journey that it was education that was more my true nature.
To you. Mm-hmm.
That's it. And the funny part was my father was a teacher, my mom was a nurse. Mm-hmm. And I remember the teacher I knew, he was mostly in high school or primary school. And that wasn't the crowd I wanted because, they're needy. And I'm like, I already got mine at home.
Yeah, right.
I said, no, I don't think that's mine. And then at one point, I discovered adult learning. And then it's just like, hey, it's a completely different conversation because you're dealing with people who see value in being where they are and also have a sense of where they want to take that information, where they want to do with it. So there was that sense of ownership that made me feel, okay, I can connect with you. It wasn't just the disciplining and the taking
It's not a one-way thing where you're pouring in, you're getting a response. So what was it like? Was it hard for you to listen to that voice in the beginning? Did you find that,
There were so many distractions because we're so very good as human beings in keeping ourselves busy. Yeah. I think some of the things our parents and grandparents didn't have has come and has cluttered our own life at this point. Mm-hmm. And there's always this need to be somewhere, to do something, to try something. And it actually distracts you from what you're meant to do. Once I figured out what I wanted, I started pushing aside those things that didn't have value for me.
Right.
And I had to learn this because I was a bit of a people pleaser. I had to learn to say no.
No. Yeah.
So it was this thing where somebody invites you to do, you could help me with this, you could help me with that. I know, I could help you with a bunch of things. But not everything is something I would really want to be part of.
Right.
So slowly I started figuring out, okay, so it's really interesting, but I think I'll pass. But I might suggest this other person who might be interested. Right. So this is where slowly you started making way so that you could devote the time, because there's only 24 hours in a day, whichever way you look at it. And some of it has to be given to sleep. True. So there's, let me figure out how I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, And it's funny because I remember in the previous part of my journey, I used to read fiction. And then all of a sudden come a point where you're getting to your purpose, or you have a sense of where you want to go. And you start reading a book and it's like, oh, I already know where it goes. I'll read a few more pages. Oh, yeah. And nowadays, I mostly read self-help.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's like, why do I want to live through somebody else's journey? I want to do mine. I want to be. I want to know that I'm creating something better, not just for me, for my girls, but also for the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it difficult when you started changing and seeing yourself different and presenting yourself differently in the world? Was it difficult for the people around you, your family, to adjust?
We call that the change management, which is when we're changing, we always have this illusion that it is about us. But the thing is, if you're part of a system, everybody gets interest out of that journey. And so we were good with the way you were, Ma. We liked it when you what you mean you don't feel like it? Yeah, no. It's like you do your thing, I do mine. Yeah, but I like it. Or whatever else there is. So as you were doing this, whether it was family, whether it was friends, you had to create those boundaries so that the time or the expectation that they had of you had to be able to change. Some people stayed, some people didn't stay because the interests were no longer the same. Does that mean they're either good or bad people? It's just that we're different. And in that sense, I'm not going to say that I didn't have a tribe before, but as I'm moving forward, I recognize that the tribe, the people that I'm associating with are more in line with what I want to accomplish. They understand, for me, being part of the world is also being of service to the world. It's not just about money. It's not just about being popular. It's not just about, oh, what do I get out of it? So as you're doing this, not like that. That's not what I said, but it's just, I started playing small to fit in. And then at one point, it's just like, what am I trying to fit into? What's the point? Because we each and every one of us have a different and unique purpose. We might do something that looks similar, but it might not be exactly similar because we each have a different journey. We each come at it from a different angle. So it's going to be different. And that's the part. And for me, when I was playing small, I was dimming my light.
Yes.
As I started, now some people are like, oh, but you take a lot of space. I'm not taking space. I'm just saying what it is that I need to say, and then I walk away. I'm not here to crash your party.
Yeah.
If there's certain things you're saying that are no longer aligned, and you want me to just say, okay, it's not happening anymore.
Yeah. Right.
So,
yeah. It is interesting how everyone has to adjust. It's like you say, it's not just you, it's everyone around you. And some people stay and some people don't. And I think, what was it that you feel made you keep going in the face of, that person's not calling me anymore, or though that person wasn't happy that I said no, and yet you kept going in that direction, as opposed to pulling back and go, I must be doing something wrong. I need to go back and make those changes.
I remember reading at one point something that said, some people are there for a reason. Some people are there for a season. And I started paying attention. I started paying attention to see what I was giving out and what I was receiving back. And I realized that in quite a few of my interaction, I was giving more than I was receiving. Not to say that they were being selfish. That's how I was also presenting myself. And then came a point where I wanted things for myself. And then some people felt like I was becoming selfish. And I'm like, no, because you got your time, you got yours. You're very okay saying what you need. So it shouldn't be a challenge for me to say what I need and what I want and how I want it. And I always try, for me, what's very important in all my conversation, respect and dignity. Whoever I speak to, those have to be there all the time for me, but also me giving it to others. So I knew it wasn't about me being offensive, but it was just about me changing the mold they had put me into.
Right.
So I had to break the mold.
So how did that work, particularly with your children?
My children told me, at least I remember when one of them, when she was mid-teens, early adulthood, she said, I liked you better before you started teaching. Because every now and then, because it's funny, because everybody has a reason why they enjoy being with you. My children liked the fact that I was giving them direction. It was a yes or no, or and then they came to a point where they will ask me something, and I would return with a question. And what do you think about that? How would that make me feel? How would that make that other person? Can you just say yes or no?
Stop coaching me, Mom. Just give me an answer.
That's it. But at the same time, I also realized I had to stretch my kids to ask themselves the questions, the right questions at the right moment, and think about others as they're doing that. So what I realized as I was growing in my journey, I was learning different skill set as a parent, because what you do to a child at 7 or 8 and how you engage with a child that is 12, 14, and then 17, 18, completely different.
Yes.
So that matched really well with my purpose, in the sense of that's where I was moving towards. And as I'm doing this, you realize, oh, wow, check how it matched. Oh, my God. I'm learning this, and then I'm applying it at work as well. I often use the statement, I'm a better parent for the employees I've had, and I'm a better manager for the children I've had. And the thing is, what the two have in common is the human side. So there are things when you're in the interaction with your children, you can see certain things more clearly because they're kids and they just open their belly and tell you stuff. Yeah. While you in the work environment, you might not see the need. You see some behavior and some symptoms, and you're like, what's that about? And then when you start, like, oh my God, this one is not happy because I've been spending way too much time with that other one. So as you're noticing, it helps you maneuver both fields a lot easier. And that just got me even more connected to leadership, because I realize for most of us, leadership is something we think comes from the outside and something that somebody else does. But every single one of us has this personal leadership regardless. You have a certain level of power. You have a certain effort to put into the impact that you want to create. But when you don't even recognize yourself, guess what? You might be like a bull in a china shop and you have no idea. So it's how do, at least what I feel is my part of my purpose, my mission, is to help people first recognize who they are, what they're creating around them. Is this what I want? And if it's not what you want, then what do I need to do to get to that better place? And this is just a portion about both personal leadership and change management, because we complain. Everybody likes complaining, at least. Some people might like complaining more than others. But comes a point where, okay, you have to take ownership. If this is not working for you,
Right.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. It's not all about other people doing onto you, right? It's about, where's my piece in this?
Where's my power? Where's my piece?
When you think back to that beginning time when you were starting to have this new awakening and this new realization, what were, I feel that we all have these stories that we tell ourselves, unconsciously telling, that kind of keeps us in our comfort zone and protects us, right, from the potential harm out there in the world.
Yeah.
Can you think of a story or two that you remember telling yourself back then?
The biggest lie I kept telling myself was everything had to be perfect. And unless all the ducks were lined perfectly, we could not move forward. And I realized at one point, you can actually fly by the seat of your pants.
I still get there.
It's something. You have to have some elements, broad elements. It's like, I'm not going to wake up one morning and decide I'm going to India and not know whether I need certain things in order to be in India. So there's certain broad parameters, but then I used to want everything on my checklist to be done before any movement forward. Now it's just like, I'm ensuring that I'm in that broad frame, and then I go with the flow. Yeah. And sometimes, let's just say it's like an interview. You're having this conversation and it's meant to be a general conversation. Some elements will come out more than others, but then it's still something where you say, I am feeling good and honest and I can still do it. You still have a certain level of understanding as to what is expected. You still have to understand what am I trying to achieve in that environment. But then you let things happen. And being in the classroom has also helped me do that, because I might have a big agenda for the day. This is what we're going to look at. This is blah, blah, blah.
And then someone asks a question that takes you off in a different direction.
Or it happens also. There's an evacuation because there's a bomb threat, whatever it is. And then you're like, okay. Now, how we're going to make it happen, and that's the part. And you have to manage both what you're trying to pass on, as well as what's happening to the people as you're passing that on. So that has allowed me to realize there's certain things you will need for yourself. So ensure you have that, because knowing yourself, self-awareness will allow you to recognize, if that's not there, I'm not moving.
Right.
So let's just say, if I don't have that much money in my pocket, I'm not stepping out.
Yeah.
Done. But otherwise, it's just, once that is done, let me go with the flow and enjoy the moment, enjoy the experience, pull out, because you have to leave yourself open to what could emerge, opportunities, the pleasures. Sometimes you're in a conversation, you thought it was going to be 10 minutes, and all of a sudden you look at the time, it's been an hour. But you would not trade that hour because you got so much, whether it's energy or fulfillment for your soul, that you say, I needed that at this moment, so that's fine.
I think what you're saying is such a crucial thing for women to understand, that it doesn't, you don't have to know it all before you get started. And really the gold is in the taking action, because it's through doing something that you realize, oh, this didn't work, this works better, oh, I didn't think about that. But when you're just sitting home in your nice little comfort zone, reading or watching the TV or doing whatever, you're not growing and you're not developing.
No, and I'd rather be an active participant in my life than an observer.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed, since I started that journey, I'm spending way less time in front of the TV.
Yes.
If I'm in front of the TV, usually I'm folding laundry or I'm
doing something. Yeah.
Because it's just like, no, I got things to do. I got places
to do.
I want to learn. I want to grow. I don't want to remain stagnant.
Yes.
There's something about our society where we have people people how to do, but we've forgotten to teach them how to be. Our parents and grandparents were better about this, but we got so busy that we do, but we don't stop to figure out,
well, what's this all about? Yeah.
What's this all about? Who do I want to be? What is that meant to be? The idea, if you're going to a wedding, is not just to show up, take pictures and walk away. It's have a connection with the people that were there, be there to support whoever is getting married, and then celebrate the moment, enjoy the moment. But we live in such a fast pace that we kind of forgotten.
Yes.
So every now and then, need to be pulled back and enjoy. So that's the part midlife has taught me to, leave your agenda somewhat loose, and whatever needs to happen will happen.
Be open.
Yeah, be open.
When you have 2 daughters, and so
3.
Oh, 3. Oh,
yes.
My gosh, you've been a busy woman. So how do you? I can tell that you are modeling for them what you want, the kind of life that you'd like to have for them, or that you'd like them to have, in terms of that openness and that questioning and that keeping. So what's the 1 or 2 messages you would like to leave for younger women who are approaching that midlife, or to keep them from falling into a big hole before they get to midlife?
As early as possible, find out what you care about. Find out what matters to you, not to others, but to you. Do the internal work that is required for you to understand what's my bigger purpose. The earlier you do, the easiest the journey, because it's the sense where I didn't want to wake up one day and to look behind and say, I've missed my life. I don't want any regrets. So I've raised my kids to pay attention to not just what they're doing, but how they're feeling about it. And if something doesn't feel right, then investigate what does that mean. And whether we're talking, you know what, I just don't like mathematics, so I'm not going to go into economics because it's going to be doing the same thing over and over that I don't like. I can do it, but I'm not enjoying it. So that's the portion where ask yourself the questions and keep your mind open to the internal dialogue. Sometimes we so tame the dialogue inside that we don't even recognize it anymore. But our body, our soul tells us regularly what needs to take place. Right. So that's what I'm hoping. When you have this thing inside telling you, he doesn't feel right, then ask yourself why. What's missing? What should be there or what's not? Is it safe? Is it not safe? Is whatever it is. And that you can only do that if you start paying attention to yourself. Yes. We're not talking being self-centered, but we're talking being aware. Self-awareness will make your journey a lot easier.
Yeah. It's so true. That ability to stop and reflect and not be afraid. I think sometimes we don't do that because we're afraid of what we might find in there.
And again, it's the funny part because we're afraid of what we don't know. Yeah. But then sometimes that's exactly where you need to go, where you don't know. What is safe was fine. You got there. We all want a certain level of safety. But the idea is our mind or our society gives us the illusion that we have to remain the same. Yeah. But we don't. If we look at the life around us, it's like a child is born, then it's a toddler, then it's a teenager, then a young adult. So there's change in every single journey. So what makes you think that you're going to get to adulthood and then I just wait for retirement or death? Yeah. Give me a break. There's no more things. It's no longer marked by schools, whichever. Yes. Right. But there's still things. So it's a growth, a continual growth, which means continual change. It doesn't mean I have to scrap everything and throw what was there. Every single phase of my journey helps me to harness the potential of the next phase.
Yes.
So once I see it like that, it's a lot easier to say, okay, so what's next?
What's next?
So, I've aced, let's just say, Italian cooking.
Right.
Now I want to try. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you stay in, once it becomes routine is usually where you get bored and you start wondering, is this what I'm meant to do? Yeah. It doesn't mean that you have to be all over the place trying all kinds of things all the time. But you have to go back. Now, what is next for me? And take
That is so true. Well, Paula, it's been such a pleasure to talk with you. I was really excited that you decided you agreed to the interview because I enjoyed so much talking with you when we were in India. And so this has been great. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. As a thank you for being here, I'd like to offer you my glorious second act workbook and planner. It's a great tool to help you gain clarity on what it is you want next in your life and to create a plan to get you there. It's a totally free gift. The link is down below, so click the link, download your planner, and get started, taking action and creating a new and exciting second half to your life. I'm Jo Ann Kobuke, your midlife coach. Stop by again for another episode of Modern Midlife. See you next time.